So today I am attempting to answer the question of whether a CRF450L is a good single track bike. I'm over here swapped bikes with my buddy Jay. This is his CRF450L. He's riding my KTM 350. And I've been riding it for a while. This is our second lap of this pretty tight single track. There's a lot of trees that are a little bit over bar width, a lot of turns. Ooh, it's probably some of the tighter single track you'd see it like an enduro or a hare scramble. Be kind of careful. And there's certain things I like, certain things I don't like about this 450L in this kind of situation. The biggest thing I don't like, just to get out of the way, is the weight. It definitely feels heavy, and it takes more effort to kind of tip it into corners and really flick it around. To be very deliberate about it. The other part, the kind of good part about it is you have a lot of traction. It's kind of stable once you keep going, which I'll mention a little later too. I think the brakes are really good. Everything control-wise is in good position. The clutch is actually really light for a cable clutch. For a 450, it takes no more effort than the hydraulic on my KTM, in my opinion. The other thing I don't like is it feels really wide, which I don't really understand why, but it just feels like you can't get over the back of the bike very well, because the plastics towards the back get kind of wide, which is a little annoying. And the frame itself is actually also kind of wide. It's got this, big aluminum frame. So I don't dig that. The suspension is really good. It absorbs all the little stuff. It keeps you planted, except for feels kind of nervous. This bike turns very quickly, and we're gonna probably play with it a little bit, just check sag and stuff, because it feels more nervous than a KTM, which is saying something. Like, it's less stable. And this kind of stuff, it is a good thing but also a bad thing, because when I don't want something deflecting me into a tree or some such thing, and this bike just feels like it just wants to knife into the corners. That's just kind of annoying. But it's very physical exercise riding it through here. But I will say it's not that much different than my 350. You just have to plan ahead. You definitely feel like you're riding a bigger, heavier motorcycle, because you are. And it does flame out occasionally. I'm in second gear right now, so that's a thing. But yeah, CRF450L can do single track. Would not be my preferred choice for a single track bike, and would not be my preferred choice of trail for a bike like this. I think it would be much more happy on an ATV width trail, where you can really use this suspension and the weight doesn't matter as much. But look, I'm cruising. This is decent speed for me, so would be a little quicker on a proper enduro bike, but it's not bad. The engine's really smooth. It does flame out, but it's not terrible. And this has a Takomoto tune and ECU and stuff on it. It's not stock, which I think solved some of the flame out issues. So yeah, those are my quick thoughts about a CRF450L on some single track. Alright, so now we're a little bit wider trail here. It's really sandy. The it whoops. But this is where I feel like the Honda, and this is a very wide trail, but it is probably superior to the KTM. Just going through these sandy freaking slightly rutted whooped corners, and this Honda is just so much more planted. It's a lot less work hitting these whoops on this bike than it is on the KTM. KTM is very active, like it just kind of bucks you all over the place, and the Honda just tracks straight. And I think part of that is maybe because it's a 450, it's a bigger engine, probably because it's a little heavier, but I feel like a lot of it is because of the chassis and the suspension. This is where the motocross DNA comes through. So if I was doing a lot of desert blasting or something, or even just wider Michigan ORV trails, this bike would be the money, because it makes this feel much easier, especially if we can figure out how to calm down this front end a little bit, make that a little more stable. This thing will be like a freaking Michigan trail monster. Into the rut so nicely. That's something that I like about linkage bikes in general, but this bike controls its rear end so well. Like, I remember riding the same trail on my TR650, and it was kind of death. The TR is not that much heavier than this bike, so the chassis on this is really good. If you can follow a rut on this bike, it is on rails. Unreal. How good it is.